just like that. So here we go. This is another MN Style Guide, and I'm with my dear friend and therapist, Phil Tucker, right? Phil, thank you for being here today, first and foremost. And for those who don't know you, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Phil Tucker, and I'm a therapist here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Born and raised in Knoxville. I jokingly but seriously tell people I am about as local as you can get. You know, I grew up going to Green School right over the hill, moved down the street to Vine, down the street to Austin East. And for college, I did a couple of years at UTC, UT Chattanooga. Came home, finished up my bachelor's at UTK, and got my master's at Johnson University. So I'm very much a hometown guy.
Right on. You stayed here.
I did, and I have an independent practice, Shade Tree Therapy. I'm a psychotherapist, and I specialize in trauma, but obviously, you know, work with all the different things that bring people in for therapy, whether anxiety, depression, that kind of thing. So.
Right on. So when did you decide that this was what you're going to be? You wanted to help people in their mental health?
So honestly, originally I wanted to be a guidance counselor. I had a really positive experience with a guidance counselor in high school, and you know, I couldn't really put into words like what it was about that experience that really resonated with me. But I thought, you know, that's what I want to do. Like I want to like show up for people and like help guide people and stuff, because he was just so good at what he did, and he was really, I think it had a real impact on me during a time when I needed that from somebody. So at the time, you know, nobody talked about therapy. I didn't know anybody who went to therapy. I don't think even heard of a therapist really that I can remember. So a guidance counselor was the closest thing to a therapist that, you know, I had any concept of. And so I started to pursue that. And long story short, I learned that in order for me to be a guidance counselor, I was going to have to teach. And so I'm the type of person, if I'm not passionate about something, it's really difficult for me to do it.
Right on.
I really have to believe in it, I have to be passionate about it, or else I just kind of lose interest. So I was looking for something that I could really be passionate about teaching. And so in thinking about that, I just so happened to that semester be taking two different English courses side by side. I was taking, I think it was early American literature and African American literature at the same time. And, you know, I was really expecting these two classes to really be sort of at odds with each other for obvious reasons. And they weren't. You know, I noticed that they were really talking about the same thing. There was something very human about just literature. And so I kind of saw it as something that was powerful enough to transcend a lot of the things that divide people, and that was really attractive to me. And so I was like, well, I could teach that. I could teach English.
Right on.
And so I ended up getting a bachelor's in psychology and also a bachelor's in English with a concentration in literature, with the intention of then teaching. And I was going to go back to Austin East and teach. And I ran into some of the red tape with, you know, that comes along with the education system. I'll spare you the details of all that, but
pay and all the above.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a rebel, and I didn't think that I was going to really be able to do the job the way I would have needed to do the job.
With the school system,
just the way the school system is set up. So I was sort of at this fork in the road where I was either going to go the education route to go get a master's and do that, or I was going to go the clinical route and get a master's and do that. And so because of, you know, the school system being what it is, I chose the clinical route.
Okay.
And that's kind of how that went. And so I tell people, if you come into my office, I've got this, I've got both my degrees up on the wall, and in a strange way, they sort of represent the way my mind works. And so my psychology degree is really the analytical scientist side of my brain. Like, I like to know how things work and, you know, what makes people tick and that sort of thing. But then I'm also very creative and very much inspired by stories and things like that. And so I have the artistic and the scientific that both kind of make up just how I think in general. And so what the masters did was it sort of tied those things together for me.
Right on.
Because I realized that, obviously when people come in and they're really struggling with some depression or something like that, they don't say, hey, my dopamine levels are very low. They say, man, life effing sucks and everything is heavy, So they tell you a story.
Yeah.
And so I needed to be able to kind of merge those two worlds together.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And that's
then
what the
relate that back to right on.
And that's what the counseling
right on.
was.
I love that. Yeah, for those that were like, well, why is he interviewing Phil today? I realize as a male that I believe, and I'm just speaking because I'm a man, that when I'm suffering or struggling through, whether it's a breakup or whether it's just my business is struggling or whatever the case may be, I tend to deal with it on my own, which magnifies sometimes the problem. And we have a couple things in common. One is that we're both black men, and so I believe, especially in the black, my father wasn't really present in my life for the most part, so I didn't have this father figure that I could go to and talk through, like, man, how should I handle this situation? But just in men in general, I think we tend to think that it's not cool for us to talk to somebody about our problems and what we're going through. And so my belief is that also when you look good, you feel good, and that's one of the parts that we want to talk about in this segment today. But I also just wanted to bring awareness to mental health. Just it's a real deal, and having a counselor or someone to talk to is very cool. It's not uncool to not have a person that you can talk to and not worry about them going out and talking about whatever it is maybe that you're going through. So that's a real deal, and mental healthness is definitely a part of fashion and looking good, because if your mind ain't right, ain't nothing right. And that is physically or whatever, because it weighs on you. So thank you for being here. First, again, that's majorly important. But also I want to touch on, I consider myself to be a runner. That's part of what makes me feel good. That's how I take out my issues and problems when I'm working through something or struggling or emotionally struggling. I run a lot. But when I say a lot, I mean 6 miles, 8 miles. Phil is about to run 51, now who does this? 51 miles in one day, in one setting. And so tell me about that, man. And we were talking about that. 51 miles, crazy. I can't even imagine what that looks and feels like. And how do you mentally prepare and train for that?
Absolutely. Well, it's funny. So I have to touch on mental health, in order to tell you about that. So I would say my definition of mental health is the freedom to be who you were meant to be.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And so if you look at the World Health Organization's definition of what mental health is, this is it: a state of being in which an individual realizes their potential, can cope with the daily stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to their community. So that's what mental health is, right?
Okay.
And so when I think about mental health, it's really the freedom to be who you were meant to be, right? And so I never set out to be a runner. I didn't grow up running.
Right.
I didn't run in high school. Like I tell people, honestly, I was not running unless somebody was chasing me or there was another reason to be running. Usually gunshots. and so the fact that I'm running 51 miles, it was not part of my plan at all. But I learned about the race that I'm going to be running is the Selma to Montgomery Ultra Marathon or Relay. And so it's an event that I learned about through my connections with Black Men Run. I'm the captain of the Knoxville chapter of Black Men Run, and I ran this race a couple years ago, as a 9-man relay team. So most people run it in segments,
Yeah, I got you,
right?
which makes sense.
And the longest segment is about 8 miles. So that's what most people do. So after running it the first time and having such a powerful experience running it, I, through circumstance, I became inspired to just run the whole thing. And so I'm going to attempt, it'll be my first ultra marathon.
How many people do that? Do you know how many people actually run the whole race?
Not many.
I can't imagine.
Not many. There's
I
been
can't imagine there's not more than 100 or so people that are going to run the full race, if that even. So.
No, you're probably talking about 4.
There you go. So
people.
I was way off. There you go, right?
Yeah,
it's mostly like you could choose to maybe 3 people, 2 people, whatever. Like you said, 9 people running.
Yep.
But 51 miles, man. Well, man, that is amazing. Tell me how you train for that. And I think for me, I realized that after a certain point, it's just all mental. Do you know what I mean? Like even when I'm running 5 miles, you know what I mean? Just that, I like it. I'm a person that likes to know the distance. Like I'm almost at the end of whatever that looks like.
Right.
And when I get closer to the end, it becomes more real for me. But I've never run a full marathon, which is 26.2.
Yep.
So to double that, I can imagine it's just and that's what I tell myself, just keep moving.
That's
you know what I mean? No matter what the pace is, just
Right.
keep moving. But like touch on how you mentally prepare for that, brother.
So one of the sayings in the ultra marathon world is relentless forward progress.
Okay.
So that's the name of the game, relentless forward progress. So whether you're walking, whether you're walking, whether you're running, just relentless forward
Just keep
progress.
moving, don't stop.
Just keep moving, don't stop.
Right on.
And there's just something about that really resonates with me. Life hadn't given me many things that were just easy. I had to work for everything that I've been able to accomplish. And so, but I like that though. Like I like a challenge.
You like the grind.
Yeah, I like that.
So that we have that in common.
I like the grind.
Like when things get too easy, you start slacking off,
That's
right?
right.
So now you gotta. I was saying we were talking earlier, and he is my therapist, and sometimes in my life I tend to create some chaos so that I can get fired up and push through it, so I can take it to the next level. So that's real, man, and that's using your life situations to motivate you instead of to bring you down.
That's
so
right.
That's real.
That's what it's there to be. It's there to be a teacher. And so when I'm training, I'm focused on my run, as much as I can be, but obviously other things come up, life challenges and different things like that. I pick on my sons. I have 4 children total, but I have 2 teenage sons. And having 2 teenage boys at the same time can be very stressful. It's sort of a cosmic joke that if teenagers are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing developmentally, and you're doing a good job parenting or even a decent job parenting, you're going to be at odds with each other.
Right on.
Because they are supposed to be sort of coming into their own, which means they're looking for freedom.
That's real.
And they're starting to test in different ways and things, and you want that because they're getting ready to leave the nest, and you want them to be ready for the world. But the problem is they're still under your roof, and you're still responsible for everything they do, and you're providing for everything they do. So there's a little bit of tension there, right?
Amen. I know.
And so it's not uncommon for me to be out on the long run working through
What you and your
some
sons
stuff
are going through.
I'm going through just with this season of life. And so I spend a lot of time out there just logging miles, man. Logging miles.
I don't have that much on my mind, brother. 51 miles. I was like, I might cure cancer if I ran 51 miles. So there you go.
That's right.
That is real. But man, I'm proud of you, man. But back to why you're really here.
Yes.
The other reason that I invited him is that I've known you for about 5 years or so, and when he first came to me, it was him rebranding himself. And I love his style, his swag. He's cool, as you can see. He's not scared to go out on the edge a little bit. So it's cool to see him grow and in his style as well. And so tell me about your flavor and what makes you who you are when you're thinking, when you're getting dressed for the day. Because I know sometimes you're a bow tie guy too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I dig that. I'm cool with the bow ties. That's not my thing, but
Right.
I like it on you.
Absolutely.
I like it on you.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your style, man.
Man, so I think, I guess, and again, I approach my style, I think the same way I approach my clinical practice and working with people, right?
Okay.
So, I'm in the business of mental health. So, I'm a running coach, I'm a professor, I have a therapy practice, but really I'm selling the same thing in all of those different vocations, right? I'm really selling authenticity. I'm selling, mental health, obviously. I'm selling connection. And so I need a brand that is able to really connect with the people who I intend to serve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's this balance between you doing the things that you're passionate about and the things that make you who you are and that feel meaningful, while also serving, greater humanity, right? And so I think when the gift that you have to give as a person matches what the world needs, that's when the magic happens, right? And so so I like to express myself, but I need to express myself in a way that the people who are looking for what I have to offer can recognize me.
Okay.
Every profession has a uniform,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
And so therapists, we're oddballs, right? Like, and for most people, therapists really only make sense when life is not making much sense. People really don't want to come see us.
Real, right? If everything's together, they don't think about you. It's kind of like Jesus and God. People don't start praying until things go bad.
That's
like
right.
if things are really good, most people don't say thank you God for everything is just going well and I'm just waking me up today or whatever.
Yeah.
It's when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
It's like please, let me call my therapist.
Exactly, right?
So I feel you, man. That is so real.
And so we're sort of like these outlier people, right? And so I kind of look like an outlier, right?
Right
Like
on.
you see, like I like the paisley
Right
and the
on.
floral print. I might do something kind of crazy with
The
the
orange
shoes,
sneakers.
with
I
the
don't know
orange
if you can see
sneakers.
him on it, but he's got on orange stockings right on.
Or I might I might have on a bow tie, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I like to express myself in that way, but it also, it catches people's attention. They're like, there's something a little bit different about this person.
Your character.
My character,
Yeah.
and it should.
Yeah.
But so I'm authentic though. So I'm being me, but I'm also, wearing the uniform of my profession. And if you ever watch movies, like, look, the therapist is always kind of an oddball, you know what I mean? Or even if it's not like a traditional, even if it's not like a modern setting,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
it's
the shaman or they're on the outskirts of the community, So I embody a little bit of that, difference, in my dress. But
And I appreciate that. And again, super cool. And I was on my mind. I was just thinking about you as a therapist, and I know you run, but like, who do you go? What do you do to secure your mental health? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
do you talk to someone?
I think every therapist should have a therapist.
I heard that.
So,
That's real.
if I'm being honest, I have a lot of friends and colleagues, obviously, and the ones that I work with the most are the ones that do their own work, right? So I think therapy is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. Where else in your life can you talk for an entire hour about whatever you want to talk about, and the person is focused on you, what you need, understanding you, hearing you? That's just, that's like a massage or anything else.
Right.
Massage
To
for your brain.
Right? That's real. There you go. I didn't think about it like that. So I appreciate you for taking time out your day to talk to me, and I could sit and talk because it's very natural for me, obviously, and I'm not paying you this time. But I could sit and talk to you for hours, man. But I appreciate you, man, and sharing some knowledge. And I'm gonna leave you guys with this: when you look good, you feel good. But hey, none of that happens if you're not right in your head, man. So, any last thoughts for our audience, brother?
Yeah, I guess my thoughts. What you're doing here is amazing. I think this is really important work. I think, too often when we think about our style and the way we dress, I think people tend to lean in you can lean in either direction, I think, a little too far. If you lean too far into self-expression and you just think that it's just, it's just about me and how I feel, and then I think you can compromise your outcomes, right? if you lean too much on the outcomes and you're dressing in a way that's not really consistent with who you are as a person or the things that are really important
Try
to
to be
you,
somebody else.
then I think that can really can have its issue. So I love that you're doing this and really, I think helping to kind of find some balance between those two worlds.
Right on. I like that. Amen. Yeah.
And
like you said, I don't want guys to dress like me or you for that matter,
right.
But I want them to be the best them.
That's right.
And so whatever that is, and just kind of helping to, hey, this is, a great piece that you could add to your wardrobe, and then them taking what they like and then tweaking it or making it their own. So that's a solid tip.
And one of your superpowers, man, is it's your eye, right? Like yes. I trust you to be my eyes. Like if I've got an idea and it's like it's a little too out there or it's crazy, you're gonna let me know, right? Like you're not gonna let me go out here.
A little bit, right?
Yeah, pull back, like because there are some rules to the game, right? So you're not gonna let me go out here and violate.
Right on.
Go
too far to that.
Some kind of
Yeah, you got it. Depending on the situation.
Yeah.
All right.
That and the fact that your attention to detail and your understanding of really creating a luxury brand, that is fitting to the individual. I mean, those things honestly are priceless.
Thank you, man. I didn't pay him to say that either. So thank you, Phil. I appreciate that, man. Absolutely. Again, thank you for being with us, man. And we look forward to having you guys on the next or viewing the next episode of M in Society. So thank you again. Have a blessed day and see you next time.
Thanks for having me.